and family, YouTube over there, and Facebook. What's happening? I got things popping up on my screen unexpectedly, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and let it ride. We're gonna let it ride because I do believe that it's a bunch of bull crap. Okay, so happy Saturday, happy Black History Day. Yes. Okay. Look like we might have some difficulties. I don't know yet, but we're gonna roll. We're gonna roll with it regardless. So today, see if I got. I'm just, man. I'm always trying to just at the last minute getting things together. I don't know why I can't do like way in advance than that. But hello, everybody. How's your Saturday going so far? Yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all took care of a lot of things that had to be taken care of. All right. Thank God for Saturdays, right? Yep. Black History Day once again. And on being that I am talking about Black History Day every day of the year, then here's another one I want you to always keep in your memory. Have it that you spread this information to your young ones when they get older. Now, this young lady by the name of Amanda Gorman, all right, she spoke a poem called The Hill We Climb. And she did this at Joe Biden's inauguration, right? And she delivered that thing so beautiful. And I had to kind of speak about her today. Actually, my daughter gave me the um, the idea of speaking about her today. So, and we want to give thanks to her because she come a long ways. If you heard her story, all right, she has come over some obstacles in her time to actually be able to speak as well as she does and write as well as she does. So let's give her a round of applause to Amanda Gorman. That's for Amanda, that young lady right there on my screen. Okay. And today's topic, all right, is about gun reform. Once again, I've talked about this a couple of years ago. I had the same shirt on when I talked about it. You know, there's a video out there on my feed that you guys will hear the original or the first one that I spoke about. And here we are again. I feel the need still to talk about gun reform. Now, let's really think about what we're saying here, because there's a lot of gun owners who think that when people talk like I talk, they're thinking that the government is going to come and try to take their dagnabbit guns. Uh, if you're an idiot, for the most part, you're going to think that. Okay, if you don't have the common sense you were born with, yes, you're going to think that the government is coming to take all of your guns away. That's not the case. Okay, understand, first recognize the problem. It's clear and obvious. We've been having a problem even before 2 years ago that I spoke of it, but it seemed to have picked up momentum in the past few years. All right. And gun sales, what I read this morning, gun sales have shot up in the past 2 years, like in America, 20 million dollars worth. That is a lot of gun sales in this country. All right. And that's a big jump from back 5 years ago. This is a situation that seemed like everybody are getting guns, and the ones that are not accounted for are the stolen guns, or the black market guns, I should say. And then there's the stolen guns. You know, those are the guns that are more likely used in crimes. The black market guns, the stolen guns, right? And that is obviously a problem. How can you, as a responsible gun owner, say that that is not the issue? It's just the people. It is people with guns. That's our biggest problem. People with guns. Obviously, that the wrong people are getting these guns. Okay, and you can point to any race and say that it's that race that's doing all the damage with guns, or if it's that race, it doesn't matter. It's just a bunch of sick people getting these guns. They're either bad people or they're sick in their head. They're either just bad people or they have some type of disconnect in their brains. Is why they use these guns the way that they do. And there's suicide. There is just simply boasting, accidental gunshots. There was a guy I seen on a video. This thing ain't funny, but it was funny that he was instructing and teaching a class how to use a big gun. It was a four six. What was it? It was a Magnum, big gun, right? He was a little guy though, but he was teaching them how to use this gun. And he's telling them how to hold the gun with two hands and aim before you squeeze the trigger. Brace yourself for the kickback. And he bring the gun back like this. So in the process of him talking like he really knew what he was doing, which he knew what he was doing, but obviously he made a big, big mistake. He's not the first guy who's done this on video. And he brings the gun back and it fires off in the ceiling. And one of the guys go, "Did you meant to do that?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. But you can tell his body movement was embarrassed. He's supposed to be teaching a class, and he accidentally fires off a shot and could have blew his own brain out in front of his class. Lucky he didn't bring the gun back here, right up under his chin. He brought it back by over here by the side of his head, and it bang went off. Lucky he had earplugs on, right? So that is, and it was another guy that was in a classroom telling kids how to use guns, and he accidentally shot himself in the thigh. You know, this guy he was a teacher of how to handle these weapons. You know, so it's not a game, and there's a lot of kids that actually shoot themselves by accident. You know, trying to show out in front of a camera or maybe social media, and they accidentally shoot themselves. Matter of fact, Lil Wayne shot himself. And I don't know how he shot himself in the chest, but he did it. That's when he was little. And there was a guy that police officer saved his life, you know? And it's so many stories that can be told about these guns. Now, I don't know if that gun that Lil Wayne had was an illegal gun or was it a legal gun. Don't know that. But I know he tells the story. He shot himself with it. Okay? All right. It is something to be concerned about these days. Not just that, on top of everything, we have these particular games that our kids are drawn to, and they are very violent games with a lot of gunplay in it. And they're making these games very, very realistic. When I watched the game, when I saw the game, I'm like trying to determine if the game is actually, I mean, the figures in the game look just real. So I'm like, wow, man, that's a that's a psyche job, you know? When your kids are sitting in front of a game constantly, day in and day out, and they're playing these games and they're competing in these games with team members across the world for that matter. That tells you right there how involved, how invested they are in these games, because they rather do nothing else but play. They even sacrifice their own physical health. They rather stay in the house and play these games 24/7 if they could. When kids go to college, they have game rooms set up in certain places. Some kids are more privileged to have a whole house to themselves, that they let their friends come and stay at the house while they're actually in college. Only time they would leave the house, of course, is to go to the class and come right back, do their homework. Some will, some won't. And they just be in one room in that whole house, and it's lit up. The rest of the house can look like garbage. But that one room is the most important room to each and every one of them, because it's the game room. That is the room that they're playing games internationally. Now, are they making money? The college students, they may have hooked up ways that they can receive money on wins, right? But understand the graphic The graphic of these games are real. Okay, it makes you look at this game. I was about to change that, but I'm gonna leave it. It make you look at these games in a whole different way. Now, why am I saying this? Like, there's a connect between the guns and the kids that are shooting up people, mass shootings. I think there is some type of a connect. You'll be stupid to think, and ignorant, I think, and just blind to think that that has nothing to do with it. There's, before a person goes off or does anything, there's a combination of things that drive him or her to do whatever. They don't just wake up one day and just do it without thinking. No, a lot of them, as we learned and heard, that they plan this thing. It could be a fictitious character that they're following, and they put this evil demonic way to them in their minds, and they believe that they are a part of that character, right? And then they act out in particular games. There was a game one time before they got so graphic with a lot of this uh, Grand Theft Auto, and as another army one, Black Op, and all this type stuff. Before that stuff came out, there was a game that people were literally playing in real time. I forgot the name of the game, right? But they would be in character all week playing this game with each other, having to do particular things that the game requests them to do. That was the first test to see if how far that they would take particular games, and if they would invest themselves so deeply into it that they would cross it over into the real world. Meaning, when they get up in the morning, they had to do A, B, and C. Before they went to bed, they had to make sure that they met A, B, and C at a certain place, or come back to the house and then check with them online. I mean, it was just a test, I believe, just to see how far people would take these games. And they realized that these people can be literally brainwashed with these games. If you constantly over and over drilling somebody about something, I mean, it could be willing or unwilling, but if somebody is cooped up in one place and you're feeding them constantly the same thing over and over and over, don't you think at one point that they would take that in and start considering it? They would start considering it because it's something that's constantly drilled over and over, day in and day out, all day long, until sunrise to sunset. Don't tell me that that does not play a part in some of the actions of some of these people out here. And let's say the older people that just flip out like that, they're in another whole different state of mind. It might not be the games, it could be drugs. They could be involved with drugs so bad that maybe they're hearing voices, or maybe they're seeing things. There's something as a root cause of people to literally pick up these guns and do some of the damage that they do. There is something connected there. And if us regular people can't realize that with our own kids, how about playing it safe? How about making sure that our kids are not so invested in those type of games? And especially our teenagers. And then not just that, when all this other hate is spewed at them in their home, or their peers are telling them how to dislike a certain group of people, and these games are so much realistic, and in those games they could be picking their own type, they could be creating their own type of people to shoot, like police officers or a certain ethnic group. They could be doing all of these things, setting it up where when they do play the game, they're shooting that that enemy that they created, whatever that enemy is. And if their friends are doing it, they're going to do it because they don't think there's any harm in that thing. But then they do it so often, they cross over into the real world and start talking about it real time. Start talking about it, asking each other, hey, have you ever thought of that? And then maybe they'll be like, listen, don't tell nobody. But yeah, man, I thought about it. You know what I mean? And then it goes from that little seed to something greater, because now it crossed over into the real world. Don't tell me that this stuff don't have something to do with some of these shootings out here, especially with all the hate that's being spewed to these kids and on social media, and their parents and their family members. telling them that. And then there's just bad kids who just want to get a hold to a gun and have people fear them in school. Or they want to get back at a bully and wind up shooting innocent people that had nothing to do with it. These are things that we all have to consider. But check this out. The problem is we have an abundance of guns running around, or floating around, I should say. Some guns are being purposely put in certain areas, illegal guns, of course. You can get a gun for $250 or less. If it's a hot gun, they call hot. Maybe somebody's been shot with that gun before. They call, it has a body on it, right? And then they have to eliminate the numbers off that thing. Now it's untraceable. They tape it up and everything, and they use those type guns in crimes. It's and then now just think about the broken homes that a lot of these people are coming from. Some of these people are coming from really, really jacked up places as far as their home is concerned. And that is the normal thing, is to have guns. But then use these guns because you're mad at somebody, or maybe you lost a fight in school, or maybe you're being bullied, or maybe you just feel like being a bad mojo. You just want to be the bad. You want people to fear you. Because all this stuff stems from where you have been raised and what you've been taught coming up. And then now there's all this access of guns. Hey, what do you expect? What do you expect when you got all this going on? So don't be surprised when this crap happens. I don't care who you are. Don't be surprised, because if you're not fighting to get more or better gun control, these things are a guarantee to happen. And it's getting worse. Look at half of America running around saying, you won't get my guns over my dead body. They are actually feeding that information to the younger generation beneath them. They're telling these kids that you have the right to bear arms, you have the right to have as many guns as you want. But if the government is saying, yeah, you can have guns, but not assault rifles, the kind of guns that will shoot, that will kill 150 people in 2 minutes or a minute or just a couple of seconds. Why would you need a military weapon in your home? That's the part. That is the part right there that it seemed like these so-called Americans are fighting to make sure that their assault weapons are not taken. These military weapons are not taken from them, or are being told that they can't use these things. Use them for what? Unless you have some devious thought in your mind. And if you don't, maybe your children do, because of the stuff that's spewing out your freaking mouth. And this is why we have problems that we do. And there's no way in the world you can turn a blind eye to everything. You can't turn a blind eye to everything that you just like, I'm keeping my guns. I don't care who gets killed. Now the responsibility it's been so many of this, so much gun violence going on in America that seem like now it's falling back on the gun makers. Y'all see what happened to the NRA? They've been robbing y'all money the whole time, living lavish off your money, your tithes to paying to your God called gun. Because that's exactly what y'all have done. You've replaced the big G instead of big God. You replaced it with the gun. The bigger the gun, the more you worship it. The more guns you have, the more you worship the gun. This is the problem in this country called America, the greatest country in the world. If it's so dagnabbit great, why is it so jacked up? Why is it so uneven? If it's the greatest country in the world, why is it so wrong to some people? Why is it that a lot of people can't get the basic respect that everybody else gets because of who they look like and who they're connected to? If this is the greatest country in the freaking world, right? Yeah, some people say, well, if you don't like it, you should go to Africa, go live somewhere else. Hey, I was born here. I have the right to complain and say, you know what, let's try to fix it. I have that right. Just like you do. Now maybe the way that we think is different on how to fix it. You want to fix it with a freaking gun because it was founded that way. You dig? It enslaved people that way. This is how you bullied your way to being the majority or the majority of controlling this country. Even to get to be rich, it was because of war, the gun. This is what you rely on. You know, this is what divides the country, believe it or not. People who believe in peace and say, listen, I don't need a military weapon. I have particular handguns, maybe with extended clips too, but I have handguns that will protect my home. And when I go to and from, I have a gun to protect myself and my family, and to others who may not, who may need me to be in a particular spot. I don't need a military gun for that. Now, here's the crazy thing, that the country had allowed all these people to get all these guns, and when they flip out with all of this weaponry, and the police come to check them and say, hey, you broke, you're getting arrested for what you did. And he's like, oh no, I'm not. And then they run in there and get their dag-nabbit guns. Then they run in and get their military weapons, right? And then they start shooting at the police officers. But now blue lives don't matter anymore, because now they coming after you, not your guns. They coming to see you for something you've done. But instead of go to jail and say, you know what, I know, officer, you're doing your job. I respect that. Instead of that, you want to go say, I'm not going to jail. Let me go get my military weapons and fight you off. Now blue lives don't matter anymore. Now nothing matters. Nobody's life matter. Now you want to act like a total nut. And then later on, if you survive, claim that you were mentally, you have some mental problem. That's your game to get out of the trouble, to get out a long jail sentence or even death sentence. The wrong people are getting the guns, and the country is allowing too many military guns to be out there, dummies. And then you're crying about, oh, look at all of these shootings we're having. Of course you having these shootings. You got bad people, unbalanced people, stupid people. You got careless people. You got everybody. You got little kids. You got women who scared to even touch a gun, ready to shoot somebody behind them across the way. They're aiming this way and wind up shooting somebody over there. How's that possible? Yeah. Stuff like that. All these type of things are happening because you were so relaxed about, the Americans having guns. The wild, wild west. They have the right to bear arms. Okay, I'm cool with that. But it should be a limit, you think? A limit? You can't have every gun in the world. What kind of sense does that make? Have every gun in the world? That's dumb. That's stupid. A civilian shouldn't have every gun they ever wanted in the world. That's dumb. Now, I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how many guns you own. It's stupid for everybody to be having that many guns. Civilians, that is. And if there's any cops that's bad, they should be stripped of theirs. Now, that's my rant on that part. Right? We know that there is a problem. I've been talking about it for a very long time. There's a lot of people who did this, the same shirt I had on when I was talking about it 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Go back and check that one out. Right? Now, if we want to be smart, now, regardless if we tried it before and it didn't work then, but now times are different. This is a different era right now. We have way more guns out there than we used to have when we tried to put some kind of sanctions on how many guns should be sold to a particular individual. Now, here's my proposal. You know, like I said, I'm going to talk about a problem. I have that right, just like you do. You can complain about what I'm saying, like I care. I'll listen to you. But if you really start sounding like you don't make no sense, trust me, I'll just let it ride off like water. You know what I mean? That's the way I operate. But let me just say this here. This is my solution to our so-called gun problem in America. Check it out. You want to hear it? I don't care. Here you go. Listen. Every individual, all right? I think that anybody who wants to own a gun, for the most part, they have to be, you know, legally ready to own a gun. Now, for young people, I don't think people at 17 and 18 years old should actually own guns. That's my opinion. Okay? I don't think that, because they haven't experienced a lot in life. I don't care how smart they may seem to be. They can pass all the tests that you put in front of them on paper. But when it comes to having a physical altercation and having to make the decision if you're going to use that gun because your life is really being threatened, not just because you're using it as an excuse, trying to be smart and beat the system so you can kill somebody. Not that way. But if your life is really being threatened, then you have no other recourse but to use that weapon, right? Now, that's why young people, I don't think they're even mentally ready for that, you know? And what age I think young people should get before they actually ate, like if they're old enough to go in a bar and buy a beer, then I guess they're old enough to be responsible enough to own a weapon. Not at 18, not at 19. If it's 21, dag nabbit, let it be 21 for owning guns. That should be that moment they should own guns. 21 years legally, 21 with no record, right? And it depends on even if they have a record. If it's not a violent record, if they have been locked up for smoking weed before, you know, or if they've been locked up for driving a vehicle when they wasn't supposed to, not that type stuff. It had to be a violent crime, like a robbery or something. You know what I mean? Or maybe attempted murder type thing, right? And not just that everybody who registered for a gun, everybody's issued a license. I mean, a driver's license, right? And they're issued a gun license, right? You got to have a permit for these things. It's either going to be a carry or it's not going to be a carry permit, right? And they don't like giving out too many carry permits. But if you carry it, well, it depends on what state you live. Let's say that. All right. For all the smarties that's going to say something about the whole concept. Okay. Right. Depends on what state in which you live. All right. Once you go and find all that out, what kind of rights do you have and so forth, you go through the process, due process. Right. Now, once everybody get this, it should be a database, a major database that everybody who receives their permit, and then on purchase, it's already put into the system, straight into the mother data board to say, okay, John Doe just bought a gun on so-and-so date, right? Now, all this stuff can be like crypted, like barcodes or what have you, all right? That'll put a lot of people in jobs in order to do this and make sure that they're certified to do it, because if they're, you know, they don't have to know who these people are. They just have to, you know, put the data into the system for the most part. And it should go straight from the store, straight into the database. And then they know who this person is. Now, as far as a background check, I'm pretty sure that you know, it seems like anytime I want to get something or do something, they do a real quick back check on me. You know what I mean? When you go for a job, they do a back check on you. You know, and it comes back pretty quick. And I'm pretty sure they can be quick like that on everybody. You know what I mean? Over 20 million guns sold. Dag nabbit, they better have a better system to keep track of these people with these guns and know how many freaking guns they actually have. That's how you control the amount of guns being sold out there. Now, it should be something on your card. When I say, I mean, either your driver's license, your license plate. Once it's on your license, your driver's license, it should be automatically on your plate as well. A barcode should be on your plate. The reason why that is, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why that barcode is important to have on your plate. All right, that's for the safety of the police. Okay. Now, as far as people buying guns and how many guns, of course, military style guns. If you are selling a military gun, right, out of a store, that should be pretty much a signal or a sign, and how many of them you're allowed to buy. I don't care if it's 5, 10 years down the road. And if you sell it, just like you do a car, you have to make sure the title is given up and it's being handed over to the other individual, showing proof of ID and all that good stuff, and then you hand it over, and they have to take it down to the local gun controlling system that will now say, okay, I am the new owner. I bought this from A, B, and J. Right? So A, B, and J sold me this. It's used. I bought it for so and so amount. This is his information, and here's mine. Now that goes into the database on who owns that gun currently. That same gun that was sold to Don Joe, Joe whoever, Joe Blow. You know what I mean? So it should be on a card, on your license, on your driver's license, if you have one, or state ID. If any type of ID that you have to carry, it should be documented if you're a gun owner or not. If you are not a gun owner, then you don't have to be worried about having that information on your card, on your ID information. But it should be noted. It should be noted for every individual who bought a legal gun in this country. That's how you keep track. And not just that. In the database, if a person has been known to have a mental problem, that also should be documented on their license if they're gun owners. If they're gun owners and they have mental issues and they own medicine or whatever, that should be there automatically. A red flag will come up when you're talking about mental problems and guns. Same person got a mental issue and he has guns. Beep, a little ping comes up on that. Beware. Whoever's dealing with this guy, more than likely the police will be able to run it and find out about that information, about that person, whatever's going on. If they're in violation of having to report to their doctors and make sure that there's no setbacks and no issues and they're taking the medicine on time, all that should be in the major database. Right? Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It's like, oh man, who's got the money for all of that? That's going to be the first complaint. Money. What is more important? Is it the money or is saving lives? So what's more important? Dagnabbit, I'll pay extra taxes for that. Yeah, because I want lives saved. That's more important. My morals stand high over money. I'll pay that extra if it's a couple of cents out of my check or whatever. I would pay that for the sake of saving lives in this country and having better gun control. So on your license, that information will be there. Now, here's where your problem is going to be. That really the government is afraid to try to go after people who have all these military weapons. That's going to be the biggest problem. If you have that stuff, for the most part, I think it all should be counted. You should send that information in. If you do not, then they should come in and audit you and see what exactly you got. Gun owners ain't going for that. Why? Because really, a responsible gun owner will be responsible and say, you know what? I get it. It feels like you're infringing on my rights and all this kind of nonsense. I mean, it's not nonsense. It depends on if we all are trying to help the government as a whole. We're trying to help and fix the situation with guns. And always this red tape, this people worried about their rights being infringed upon. You know, that is the biggest situation because they feel like they don't have freedom anymore. Feel like their freedom is being taken away if you come and take guns that they shouldn't be having in the first place. You know, they really shouldn't be having these guns. And some people have so many guns, they don't even know what they have still. They have a stockpile of military weapons, old and current. And then they say, you know, I'm just a gun buff. You know, I'm just a connoisseur of guns. I should have that right. You should have a big giant safe as well. You know what I mean? You want to have these guns, it shouldn't be just sitting in a barn somewhere or in your shed or in your basement. That somebody else might break in your home knowing you got all these guns and or your house burn up and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of firework going on. Nobody can get near it to put it out because all your guns is going off. All your ammo is popping everywhere. Just gotta let it burn itself out, I guess. That type of stuff. I mean, so many scenarios, man. But back to the having everything on the license, that why is that important to have it on the license, man? Because when the police pull a person over, okay, they don't know what they're dealing with. Why do you think they touch the back of your vehicle before they come up? Because in case you fire off on them, they're worried about they're walking up on somebody with an illegal gun. That system that I'm talking about doesn't help when the illegal people have the guns. So they have to continue their process the way that they do it now, with the idea of, okay, this person might be having a gun illegally. So they have to take those precautions. I know it's scary out there. That's why you have so many officers making bad choices, you know, assuming that certain people are bad and shooting quickly because they're scared. They're afraid. That's why they're told to put your fingerprint on the car before you approach the driver or up at the front of the car. Come up on behind the car, touch it in case if you get shot and killed, we can track that car. Make sure your camera is on. They have to fear all of this stuff, you know? And before I go any further, the concept that I'm coming up with, it helps protect them as well. It may not protect them 100%, but it will protect somewhat. So any little bit will help when it comes to protecting our officers, our good ones. I'm not talking about the rotten ones out there. You know, I'm talking about these good cops. It helps protect them because they're gonna abide by the rule. The good ones. The bad ones will not. They're gonna find ways to manipulate it and do some wicked stuff. And when they get whatever they get out there, who can really say, oh my God, that was awful, what happened to him? Oh, I'm so sorry. You can't feel sorry for a wicked person when they get stuff. I know as Christians, we're supposed to, you know, oh, that, you know, that's a human being though. You know, yes, he is, but the people he's stomping on are human beings as well. You know? And what comes around, go around. And that's just what happens a lot of times. And we just don't know the fine details on why that happened to that particular police officer. Why did that happen? Some good cops get caught up in the crossfire as well. They have a lot to be concerned about because there's a lot of bad cops making their job extremely hard. Extremely hard. That people hate cops and ain't even come in contact with them. And when they do, now they scared. Everybody's scared. The police is afraid when he's approaching, and the person being approached is afraid. That's a bad little combination right there. Two afraid people, and God forbid if they both have guns, you know the cop's gonna have a gun. But how about the person that's afraid to have a legal gun and they don't know what's gonna happen next because they don't know what they're getting with this officer? It's all that type of stuff have to be taken in consideration. Gun reform, just like police reform, that stuff is very necessary in this country. So that information on that license, if they're gun owners, and if they multiple gun owners, right? You can say it won't work all you want. All the people who own guns and don't want to give up not one gun is going to disagree with this. You know what I mean? Because they want to be able to stockpile as much as they want. Because they feel like I'm an American, I should be able to have that freedom to stock and have as many guns and any kind of gun I want. If I want bombs, if I want swords, I should be able to have as much as I want because I'm an American. Man, kiss rocks. Kiss rocks, man. All right? An American is going to be concerned about other Americans. That's what you call patriotic. You know that, right? Patriotic is being concerned about your fellow American, regardless on if they look like you or not. That's a fact. Understand what you know. You want to be patriotic. That's how you stand together for this country, for the people of this country. So when we do have a crisis that seems to be looming, like what we have right now with Russia, then we'll be able to band together better and trust each other and have your fellow American six. You watching each other. You watching each other, and you can believe that dude behind me got my back. You can't be wondering, oh, if that dude behind you is racist or not. I gotta watch him and then watch the enemy up there too. Man, you know what I mean? Now we got to really start thinking about that more. I know a lot of you don't even give a dag nabbit, don't care, but there's going to be a day you're going to care. And there's going to be a day that tragedy might come your way. And if it does, these very words is being said, you'll probably reconsider at that point. Or then again, maybe you won't. Maybe you just already so cold-hearted inside about being a certain way that nothing will change your mind no matter what you lose. No matter what loved ones get caught up, because something could have been done before that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, talking about this stuff is you know, hey man, you should want something better to happen. It can't keep going the way it's going. It can't, because it gets worse. It gets worse. There's more guns. There's more violence. There's more hatred. There's more, and then all of a sudden we're gonna implode from the inside. From within. That's what's happening right now. And there's a lot of people who want it to happen so they can start rebuilding, like they're going to be around too. If we going to perish, you're going to perish with us. Don't you think you're going to be the only one just surviving, man? You know what I mean? It ain't going to happen like that in your delusional mind. It ain't going to happen like that. We all going to go. If that's what you want. You know what I mean? Dummies. Yeah. Back to it. I just had to get those rants off sometime, man. You know what I mean? You think about this stuff, man. It's really like, you know, what are we doing? Why does this country keep allowing this stuff to continue it and blow up to be? And then when it's time to handle it, it's so big that it's a threat to the country, to democracy. Just like January 6th. How did you let that happen? Because of your lax, you've been slack with too many of the wrong people. Too many of the wrong people. You're trusting them because they look like you and they're turning on you and they're trying to overthrow the dagnabbit government and throw democracy out the window. Because you let them blow up and become what they've become. All these racist groups, you don't crack down on them things. You don't have a system put together for all of that type of thing that pop up that when they spring here and they spring there. You send the dogs at them, man. The government dogs, man. You got to have some loyal, so you have to have some loyal warriors who willing, patriotic warriors who don't give a dag nabbit what color you are. But if you're doing things against the people of this country, then we coming to bust you up. To break that thing down, baby, before it gets this big. Right? That's how, baby, glad I ain't dag nabbit president. Because ain't nobody going to be happy because I'm breaking all of y'all little hatred stuff up. I'm breaking it up as soon as I hear about it. You guys are going down, baby. Better be glad it ain't me. Y'all better be glad you had Obama. Because if you had old Daryl, old Daryl be cleaning house, boy. You know what I mean? I'll be cleaning house. Y'all won't like that. Ain't nobody gonna have that. We'll wind up being like Canada ain't got too many guns running around. We'll be like that. You know what I mean? Shoot, National Health Care Fund and everything. Dag nabbit. I'll make sure the American people gonna be treated right. And if you treat us wrong, dag nabbit, you're gonna pay the price. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are, how much money you got. You know what I mean? You speeding down there because you're a millionaire, you got your fast car, and I catch you, you going to jail with your money. You can bail yourself out later, but you're going in chains, just like you chain up everybody else. I'm going to put you in some handcuffs, and I'm going to empty your pockets, and I'm going to tow your car, and you're going down to the daggone jail. You can bail yourself out later, or get somebody else to bail you out. You know what I mean? I don't care. I'm going to treat you right. I'm going to treat everybody just like this. Right across the board, baby. If that white man can get a gun, that black man can get a gun, dag nabbit. If I'm telling that white man he can't have military-style weapons, I'm telling that black guy he can't have military-style weapons. Straight across the board. Especially that thing that happened out in Canada with all the trucks. What y'all doing? Why? Because you don't like the mask mandate. That's what that's for. Doctors wear masks all day, every day before COVID came. They seem to be okay. They survived, they're fine. But your butt can't handle it just to go into a store. For how long? 15, 20 minutes maybe? Some people like hanging out in a store for about an hour or so. Okay, let's say an hour maybe. And then you come outside, you rip it off. You know what I mean? Maybe your breath stink that bad is why y'all fighting so hard to no mask for me. No way, buddy. I'm not going to kill myself with my breath. What are you, stupid? That could be your problem. You know what I mean? Fix that, dag. I'll fix mine. You fix yours, dag nabbit. You know what I mean? But look, on the real though, I had to throw a joke in there a couple times because this stuff will get you pissed off, man. You know what I mean? But look, database, every time somebody gets a gun, have that updated on their IDs. You have to have a gun ID. You have to have it put on your license as well. And you have to be reevaluated to make sure you're mentally stable to keep these guns. Yeah, mentally stable to make sure that your guns are where they're supposed to be and safe, and there's no kids around that can easily access these guns, and you don't go buy them guns. AR-15 is the hot gun these days everybody want to get. You know what I mean? Every time somebody want to do some dirt, they want to go get an AR-15. Right? And if you're buying those type guns, then it should be another ping coming up on your information and be like, why has he got so many of these guns? He bought 150 of them last year. Now he's trying to buy 150 more this year. What is he doing? Is he creating a black market? What's happening? Let's go check and make sure that these guns are safely put away, and the home is cool. There's no signs of mental thing going on with anybody in the family that can get these guns, get their hands on these guns. You know what I mean? That type stuff. You have to keep track of it, man. You can't just let it run wild like this. That's why we have the problem we have in this country. Now it's like, you know, the rich people are like, you know what? Let them be. Let them do what they want to do, you know, because we believe that there's going to be a race riot anyway. So we're going to need some people to protect us. So let them have what they want. We'll support them with that. Really? Listen, let me just say this here. It ain't going to be that it's just y'all going to be here after all that stuff kick off if it does. It ain't going to just be y'all. You know what I mean? You talking about segregation, boy. It's going to be divided again. And you better not cross the wrong lines, right? It's going to be a mess. This is what they think that they want. But you're outnumbered, though. you guys are really outnumbered. Because if you add in all the people that are not like you, and you're hating on everybody, remember, you hating everybody. You know, you don't care who they are, blacks, Spanish, Chinese, Indians, y'all hate everybody. Why do you, and you try to demand love, you better love me or else. Really? It doesn't work like that. You know? So as far as gun control or gun reform, we really have to keep track of how many guns are being sold, the legal ones, of course. Those are the ones that the FBI and all the gun associations can keep track of. Now it's those illegal guns that are floating in, wherever they're coming from. You know, Chicago, New York, California, Maryland. Name a state illegal guns are being flooded in that area. And once you can crack down on that as well, which they have some task force working on that in certain areas, you know, but you're gonna have to go up in the richer areas too. You can't just go down there in the urban cities and find them, even though there's a lot floating there too. But you go up a little higher, you'll find them coming in. They're probably the ones who setting it up, coming, being, imported to us. You know, find them people. Find the ones who setting that crap up. You know what I mean? Just like when y'all go after the little drug dealers on the corner, and them ain't the ones you should be really worried about. Even though you need a little organization or system that's gonna take care of them as well. But you're gonna have to go to the top. Go to the top. Who's getting this stuff shipped in? You'd be surprised on some of the names you'll find connected with that. But oh my God, I didn't know that Senator so and so was involved with that stuff. Yeah, probably with a suit and tie on. You know what I mean? Looking like Trump Jr. or something. You know? You trust that guy though. So for the most part, if we are going to get better gun control in this country, right? We're gonna have to put a system together that when a person buys a gun, it goes into a mother data system, and it will always constantly update itself every time that person buys a weapon from a particular store. And it's really the military style guns are the ones that we have to be more concerned about that civilians have. Those are the guns that we have to be more concerned about. You have to put more focus on that, you know? And unfortunately, that it seemed like a one-sided situation. They don't really care on one end, and then on the other side, that they like, hey, we got to watch them people. Got to keep an eye on them, But it ain't us you got to worry about. I mean, you got to worry about our bad apples, yeah. But what about your bad apples, though? Them are the ones you got to really worry about, because they seem to be getting a lot of privilege to do a lot of dirt. We got to sneak around in the dark. You know what I mean? Y'all do it out in the open. And then when you catch them, you got people in place that'll just smack them on the wrist. You catch one of us just doing a small infraction, you want to throw the key at us. Throw us under the jail. That thing has to change as well. Gun reform, police reform, judicial reform. All that stuff has to be revamped in order for us to be able to get along on a fair level. On a fair level. That's the way it should be. Bottom line. I know I went over my time, and I knew that I would on this because I get emotional sometimes. I'm really passionate about this, about some things, and that's one of the things that I am passionate about. I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't have our guns. No, we need our guns. There's too many bad people out here. But as far as the military style guns, that's the first place they need to start controlling. And I know people are getting shot with regular guns as well. But still, I don't think if a person did a minor crime that they should be stopped from getting guns, especially if they're level-headed people. And there's an explanation on what went on and why they, had an infraction versus somebody who literally committed murder or attempted murder, or somebody who's been caught with numerous unlicensed guns. Those are the people that probably should be prevented from having them. But as far as the people who had maybe one infraction in their life, a very small one, and you're going to prevent them from having a gun, I think that's wrong. That's stupid. That's the one you might want to let them have guns. Non-military weapons. But just keep track of it. Now, is it too late to start implementing something like this? No, it ain't never too late. It ain't never too late. If you want to save some people, then you need to hop on board. If you got to raise the taxes on the gun sales just to put a program together to make sure that we have something in place that would track this stuff better, then do it. Then do it. They want the guns? Okay, they got to pay higher taxes to get the guns. That's it. 20 million guns, man. 20 million in 2022. That's a lot of guns, man. And you know who's swarming in the money, boy. Right? Whoever sold the guns, right? So, yeah, this one, try to kind of poke fun at some areas, but it ain't nothing funny about when people get killed by these guns. There ain't not one thing funny about it. Ain't no way in the world that a man going into a school with a military-style weapon and shooting up innocent people that have no weapon to defend themselves. I think that is the worst thing ever. And anybody who's willing to shoot elderly people, anybody, any innocent person should get the chair. Yep, should get the chair. Stop with all the long drawn out and then even trying to get him off. What in the world? Trying to get a cold-blooded killer off of killing people, innocent people. Why would a lawyer even want to take a case like that? Then you too the problem. It's obvious. It's on tape. The boy confessed. And you're trying to get him off. Yeah, there's a certain place for you as well. We know where that might be. So yeah. Gun reform, we need it badly. Police reform, we need it badly. Judicial reform, we need it badly. Bottom line, we have to do something about the current problem because it's getting worse. So, y'all, hope y'all enjoyed your Saturday. Nah, man. And remember, there go my president. Yeah, that's my man, Barack Obama. Amanda Gorman, 22 years old. We want to stop for a minute and give her praises. Why? Because she pulled from a bad place, or I would say she had some rocky roads in her young youth to pull herself together enough to be as intelligent as she's become. And we don't seem to celebrate our positive people enough. And this is what I plan on doing. So from when I started doing this, and I came up with the idea of kind of always using Black History Day every day of the year, I want to celebrate somebody, some Black person who have done something extremely well. The next one, I'm going to tell you who it is already because I was going to do it today. Colin Kaepernick. That's going to be my next one I'm talking about. Today was just a recap of something I did like 2 years ago. Same shirt and everything. I was more serious back then. I was even more bigger if you go back and check it out. Right? But yeah, Colin Kaepernick is going to be my next one. Matter of fact, that's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm talking about Colin. Okay. And for the most part, y'all, that's it. I'm done. Listen, family, YouTube family, treat people. No, y'all both. Facebook, YouTube, treat people like you want to be treated. And it'll come back around because it has for me. All right? Tell somebody you love them today. Anybody. Tell your mama you love them. Tell your daddy, maybe. Your auntie. Your cousins. Your sisters. Your brothers. Your babies. Tell them you love them. On that note, y'all, I'm out. I enjoyed it today. It was a little, you know how I get, but I mean, well, y'all know that. And if you don't know it, keep checking me out. You'll find out. One love, y'all. Peace. Did I hit the button? Can't even stop this one.